Hey, hi everyone. This is Shivani Roy, and I work for the marketing team at LeadSquared. I've been here for many years, so you may have seen an email or two from me. Our discussion today is all about the insurance sector, from traditional to digital, building a customer-centric insurance strategy. Some of the things that we will cover today are transforming customer experience in insurance, the Indian regulatory landscape for insurers, and of course, humanizing and implementing digital strategies to foster growth. So, as you can see, I have a fabulous panel in front of me. I will just say two words before I let Vineet take this away. So, we have Mr. Ankit Goenka, who is the head of customer experience at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. We have Mr. Arun Kaushik, who is the head of NBFC Online Partners and Vintage Agency at ManipalCigna Health Insurance Company. We have Mr. Kamlesh Manuja, who is the head of business development and partnerships at Edelweiss Life Insurance. And finally, last but not the least, we have Vineet Sharma, who is the director of business development at LeadSquared. So, just a quick note to the audience before I disappear, please keep your questions coming. We have a fabulous panel to answer your questions, and we will take them up towards the end of the session. So, Vineet, all yours.
Thanks, Shivani. Good evening, everyone, my audience, and Kamlesh, Ankit, and Arun. Such a pleasure to be here. And I think a webinar where we have representation from general insurance, health insurance, life insurance. I am super excited for the conversations to follow. And for the large audience, I think we are going to have the next 45 minutes centered around three, four broader themes where we'll have opinions coming in from all three speakers. The first one is around the customer journeys, the customer centricity in insurance sector, and for of course for general health and life, all three. And then we are going to talk about in the next section. We're going to talk about more about digital transformation. What are the new trends in insurtech? Absolutely from domain and technology perspective. And in the third part, we are also going to talk about the inclusion. I think India is a country where the whole world is watching us in terms of how do we scale up to the new heights of economy and consumption. And we all know that insurance has tremendous potential in India. So we're going to talk about inclusion, and then in the last bit, we are going to talk about the most important thing, the regulatory aspect. What are new things? What should be concerning us? What should be giving us excitement and opportunities? So super excited to be here. Welcome all three of you and my audience. I'll start with the first question. As I said, we're going to talk about customer experience. So maybe the first one, Arun, maybe this is for you to begin with. We all understand in insurance we have channels. One is digital channel, one is agency channel, one is bank assurance channel, and then we have leads coming in from DSAs. Now we have the insurance aggregators. So many type of channels. We all know that an agency channel will do better for tier 3 or tier 4 towns. Even for tier 2 towns, maybe a good penetration of digital customers is coming from tier 1, tier 2 cities, even tier 3 cities. What would be a right customer journey for different channels? Do you see a commonality? Can you treat a customer coming from a digital platform in similar fashion than a customer coming in from other channels? While the obvious answer is no, I want to have a glimpse of your view on what should be the ideal way to treat these customers. The value of the customer over a lifetime, CLV, is it same across all three channels? Please give us a sense of your understanding on this.
Hi, Vineet. Thank you so much for inviting, and happy to be part of this webinar. I myself handles multiple channels, which is online and offline. So it's an apt question to me, considering how the customers are behaving and everything. So before we actually delve into strategy for seamlessness and customer journey, it is very important why customer journey is so important. Why customer experience is so important for any of the organization in the world. Now, there are two class of companies. One is who is offering the best-in-class customers experiences. They grow faster and they are more profitable. However, to reach this level, they have to relentlessly work on customer journeys across channel and business functions. Now, in terms of this question that you've asked me, there are three primarily major areas of highlighting. One is customer journey, what you asked. Second is touch points depending on the channel. And third is strategies for seamlessness. So let me try to touch upon briefly on all three of them. So to me, customer journey as such is an end-to-end experience, as opposed to the satisfaction of a customer at a various functions, which is one transaction. So when a customer interacts on website, later he buys from an advisor, or he searches, or he take an initial advice of an advisor, but later buy a plan on the web aggregator or online website. Many insurers look at each of these touch points as an individual transaction. However, for a customer, this is a single journey to meet his important need, to protect him themselves, for their families, or for a claim. So you have to have a seamless journey where every customer experience can be carried forward from one point to another point. Now, if we talk about the touch points, depending on the channel, maybe an offline, online, banks, web aggregator, broker. So depending on the channel which the customer is interacting, these touch points can be different. But all of them encompass these three things. One is a brand, price, product, and service. And all of them delivers the same value which every organization is looking at to increase the profit and to grow faster, which is experience of a customer, value, and a growth for the customer. Now, if you talk about strategies for seamlessness, I believe there can be four phase strategy. Okay, point number one is how to understand and track the customer behavior and the journey over a period of all the touch points. That is very important, that you have to draw how he's behaving. And nowadays, customer journey is also defined as a customer decision journey, CDJ. It is not no more a customer point, because every touch point influence or pushes or encourage or discourage even customer to make the decision towards a brand or a product. So first is to track the customer journey. Second will be to see how a hybrid sales capabilities can be built. As I given an example, a customer might search online, but later buy from an advisor, or he talks to an advisor, but buys online. So there has to be a hybrid capabilities. Why? Because let's take an example. He has taken an advice from the advisor, but he goes on the website and buy from it. If there is no seamlessness, then he will have to fill up all the details again on the website, which is a hassle. So it is no more a seamless journey. Okay. So this is second. Third is that all the channels has to work on compatibility, not as a silo. When I say compatibility, basically a decisions or the information which is coming from online later on transform to underwriting, which can be manual or which can be online as well. So how do you ensure that all the channels are working in compatibility rather than silo? And fourth will be to develop omni-channel product. Now, a person who is buying online may have a simpler product, but a person who's buying from an advisor may have a difficult product. So we have to have omni-channel product, maybe a modularity of the product which can be designed according to the channel. And basis this, we should have an incentive model. Now, omni-channel advisor may discourage a person to go on website and not to buy, because otherwise he will lose the customer. So we will have to have an incentive program which can be omni-channel. Now, how we can do that? In my opinion, whenever a customer is buying, okay, we are trying to fulfill three circles. Now, three circles can be drawing in KYC circle, drawing in financial circle, and drawing in medical circle. Now, KYC is very easy nowadays, considering government has made it mandatory to buy insurance with the KYC itself. So when we put up a PAN and the date of birth, all the details of the geographic, gender, and everything can be pulled up. Financial, from the same PAN, at least CIBIL score can be pulled up, and the buckets of the customer or his financial strength can be pulled up. Medical can be drawn accordingly. So these three things, how fast you are drawing these circles, how efficiently you are drawing these circles at the background, will define how seamless the customer journey can be there. Now, coming on to the other part of your question, which means, is there a different treatment for the different channel, and what is the different CLV? So let me address the CLV part first. normally in a health insurance, the average customer life cycle value is around 3 to 4 years. That is the normal average cycle. Now, when an individual client deals with an individual advisor, and an advisor moves away from one company to another, normally his portfolio also moves, or he takes away his client. However, when I am talking to a corporate or an institutionalized distributor, it becomes difficult for the person moving out of that corporate distributor to move the client. So I believe the CLV is slightly higher in terms of an institutionalized player than the individual advisors. How high or how low, I think that is to be measured. But in my opinion, there is a definitely and certainly there is a differentiated CLV. And is there a different treatment for the different channels? I believe as of now, company don't want to have a different treatment, and they want to have an omni-channel strategy. But because of the integration gaps, because of no omni-channel product and prices and the incentive program, there are different treatments. But from the customer point of view, they don't want different treatment. In the digital world, they would like to have a seamless and omnipresent experience.
So I think a beautiful answer. If I summarize it, we are talking about no more are the days where one customer, one channel, or one profile, one channel. We will have to change our lens. The customers are traversing from one channel to the other channel all the times, and we will have to start tracking the customer journeys. And these customer journeys are accumulation of many smaller decision-making points. Beautiful answer, and I think you talked about the customer lifetime value. I think it will be an interesting case study to understand customer source through what all channels, gone through what are decision points, generate what kind of CLV and what kind of expenditures can be made to those channels and those customer profiles. Very interesting. It takes me to the next question. I'll go to Ankit and I'll try to understand that throughout this customer life cycle, throughout all these channels that we are talking about, we are constantly communicating to the customer. That's what is called omni-channel communication. What would be the formula for a better transparency in policy terms or communication about the policy throughout the customer life cycle? Because that's a very important aspect of the entire customer lifetime. Ankit, your views on that?
That's a very interesting piece of question, because when you talk about insurance, first we need to understand insurance obviously is a push product at the end of it. We don't wake up in the morning saying that, hey, today I want to buy an insurance, right? And since it's a push product and highly intermediated, the terms and conditions that you talked about perhaps may not be as transparent as it should be, because a lot of impulse buying is also being done. Be it, let's say, for a motor insurance, there would be multiple people chasing a particular customer for a motor insurance, everybody talking about their own quotes and different things in line. And it's about that particular moment when the customer takes that call, okay, I'm going to go with it, right? You don't really get into a lot of, TNC explanation and all those stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why if you look at, for example, regulator has come up with the customer information sheet as well, right? Now for all the products, right, where it is mandated to the insurance company to send that CIS to the customer and take an acknowledgement that, yes, I understand the various nitty-gritties and TNCs. Now, that's one step from a regulator standpoint, and I guess that's a very progressive step to ensure that, at least those, small mishaps which are happening on the TNCs, those can be taken care of. The other is, actually demystifying this entire TNC space, right? Because all said and done, the insurance TNCs are still kind of very complicated, right? And there are many terms which a normal layman, may not understand, right? Now to address that, for example, what we did recently, Vineet, is, using the Gen AI platform, where we created an in-house, model which is called Insurance Samjho. Okay. Now
very interesting.
For all the insurers and all the customers of insurance, right? You just need to upload your policy PDF. Right, and that becomes the database for that bot, which is Gen AI enabled. And then, as a customer, you can ask, questions out of your policy document, and it demystifies that to you in a simple language. Right, so that's one of the steps that we have taken recently, and we recently launched the beta version. And obviously, since it's a Gen AI platform, there will be a lot of iteration that we'll be doing. But that's one of the steps, to ensure that at least the end customer is aware, what is there, what is not there, right? While from a regulator standpoint, again to add, regulator, I would say, has done a lot of good things. Arun was talking about few things. For example, in health insurance, it is mandated to send out certain periodic communication to customers. It talks about what is the sum insured, what is the balance sum insured, what is the cumulative bonus, if there is any claim, how much amount has been paid, what has not been paid, the deductions around that. All of that is much more transparent now, from a regulation standpoint as well. And similarly, for example, in motor insurance, we came out with a fact sheet, which is a very simple sheet at the time of approval of a motor claim. We send it to all our customers, giving the details of what has been approved, what has not been approved, and the reasons in a simple language associated with that. That, for example, a particular part, it has been covered, but you have not paid 100% because the policy was not zero debt. So there was a depreciation angle to that part, and that has what caused that 100% to go to, let's say, 80%. Right? But again, giving that in a very simple language against each and every line item is what we call as the fact sheet. So I guess that's some of the ways that we have tried to kind of counter this. But yes, long way to go because as I said, insurance is a push product, and till the time it doesn't become a pull product, this is a great battle which we all need to fight and come out with.
I think that's a very interesting thing to talk about, because we are talking about multiple channels, customers traversing through multiple channels. Then the communication capability of each channel is different. The education and awareness in each channel are different. And also the span of control is very different. For example, you've innovated I'm very glad to hear that you're using Gen AI to simplify the terms and communicate it to the customer, maybe using a chat bot. Maybe you can do that for all customers. You can send them emails, a newsletter that, this is what is happening to your policy. That's very interesting. But when it goes to an agency channel, you are expecting, the least which can be expected is that the agent gets the CIS verified or signed by the customer. So it takes me to the next question, which I'll point out to Kamlesh. Now you have different channels, Kamlesh. You're trying to build a particular communication strategy with the customer. How do you strike a balance while taking these initiatives? How do you strike balance in terms of what kind of brand you want people to remember you? What kind of brand people want people to experience? For different channels. So how would you manage that?
Yeah, thanks, Vineet. I think striking a balance is, while we talk about it, it sounds more easy than actually what is implemented. And we've heard Arun sharing his experience as well as Ankit. If you look at the way insurance is evolved, and there's lots to be, kind of attributed to the regulatory changes which has happened. But in today's scenario, consumer is actually, embracing e-com, in a very wholehearted manner. If you were to look at it, lot amount of services and purchases are happening onto an e-commerce way. And thanks to COVID, there is a behavioral shift which has actually kind of happened, and we've seen insurance company, which was a laggard in that particular bit, is actually kind of moved to completely digital on that particular bit, which is actually kind of giving us a lot of opportunities to give a real-time experience to the consumers. Be it a life insurance, be it a health, or be it even a general insurance kind of a category. The consumers today, they are, the level of service expectations have actually gone up multifold. So traditionally, we used to do a paper as a form of communication. Now it's moving towards an SMS, WhatsApp, and rather using multiple mediums from a consumer point of view. The way insurance processes, and we heard Arun alluding on that particular bit, is largely the whole advisory piece, the journey, the servicing part, and to an extent the claims process as well is kind of taken over, using Gen AI or using certain amount of machine learning predictive tools in that particular bit, where lot amount of things are actually happening in a DIY format. Okay, to so an extent, because if you understand the customer persona very well, you're able to apply a risk filters and give a policy on an instantaneous basis. So, to answer it simply, there are two cohorts. The cohort one, where we are able to understand the consumer better, you are able to give him a preferential or a green channel communications to those particular consumers on that particular bit. Wherever you are not able to, kind of, or rather you need more information about that customer, you are using digital mediums or the mediums which to an extent we call it hyper personalization in the customer, which is more comfortable in interacting with you, and the language or the medium which is interacting with you, both are taken into account in order to reach to the customer. So that's where you are actually kind of striking the balance. But with more and more technology, digitization, and AI coming at our hand, I think the more amount of decision making is becoming more closer to the customer and more on a real time basis.
That's very interesting. The next question that's coming to me that actually goes into the next umbrella of questions, which is about how do we leverage technology in the larger umbrella of insurance. So building from this conversation, Arun, your take. Now we talk about insurance. The tier 1 towns and tier 2 towns are already nearing saturation, and maybe you from the insurance industry, you may have a absolutely different view, because what we call saturation may be a base hygiene level of adoption for you. So from those different strata of customers, cutting across tier 1 towns to tier 2 to 3 to 4, Arun, what do you see as the perfect combination of technology, leverage, and I'm talking about all the channels. So while we understand in digital, Ankit gave a beautiful example of using Gen I. Kamlesh also talked about it. If I talk about a larger Indian customer which sits in smaller towns as well, who will go to your website but may be taking a larger decision on the agency touch point, or maybe while speaking to a banca channel person, how do you leverage technologies like voice assistant, like chatbot, or whatever intervention? What would be the mix of stack or technologies that you look forward to using for an Indian customer for a maximum extent of technology leverage?
Okay, so Vineet, in a country like India, where it is said in Hindi that एक कोस पर पानी बदलता है और दो कोस पर बोली, that means there is so much of diversification. Now, in such context where we have such a diversified country, where even in the single state there are multiple language, dialect, and everything, it can only be catered by the use of technology now, or I should say digital. Now, in a nutshell, digital primarily hosts two things. One is the data, one is the technology, and when you amalgamate both things, you get a digital transformation, digital journey, and everything. Data and technology. Now, what is happening? Our country has one of the highest penetration of mobile phones and internet. One of the cheapest rate of internet is in India. Now, these two things have made two things possible. One thing is information is available at every nook and corner to everybody. Today, no matter if you are studying in a IIM or you are studying in a absolute school, college of a village, the same information is available to you because of the internet and because of the democratization of the information. Now, how do we use that? Considering there is so much of data we are generating because of the interconnected internet and mobile phones, it is important that it is important that we start leveraging it. Now, considering what are the technologies and how to amalgamate that, if a consumer wants to buy insurance, be it health, motor, or something, right? And he starts quoting what I need because of the data at the back end, because of the geographic location of the customer, because of the mobile phone which he'll be using, all these things can be fed into the system, and system itself can design a plan or basis the underwriting possibilities for that kind of cohort, they can push the solutions. So this is something which can be used. Now, affordability, accessible, and right solution become very important. Why affordability? Because depending on the person, depending on the cohort which the person belongs to, there can be usage based or limited coverage solutions which can be promoted rather than a off-the-shelf plan. So personalization can start happening based on the data and the technology. Second, it's accessible. Now, if it can be provided by partnering the employee institutions. If you say, for example, if there is a freelancer or a gig worker, you can have with Amazon or a Blinkit, or in the social or village, you can have a solution which is designed for the particular village or a sub-punch level, taluka or a district level, depending on their losses. And third is right solution, loss of pay or a liability coverage, which makes sense to them. If you go to the lowest level of the population, there the most important factor is that I should not lose my livelihood, and the plan should cover me like that. If you go to the highest level or the ultra HNI or FNet segment, they would like to have a global solution where I can get covered anywhere in the world, no question asked. So basis this, technology is the only one which can promote solutions at the right time and on a real time basis. So we can use AI, ML can design, machine learning can really put service fast track. So all these things can be done. Claims can be fast. Claims, the system can read, the OCRs can read. It can automatically do the fraud detection, and thus, by amalgamation of form, which is the customer, and the factor, which is the solution, there can be very good customer experience.
So I think that's a very, very important take that you are bringing in, that technology will not be significant only in one channel. It would be equally important for all sort of profiles and all sort of customers and all sort of social and demography. For some, technology would be used to create the best product and to suggest what needs to be sold. For some type of customers, technology will leverage you to communicate in real time and get them to stay engaged with you through all the channels. That's very interesting. Ankit, next question to you, which is a little different. I want to understand, for a established player like Bajaj Allianz and for any mature insurer today, there is a new sub industry which is coming up, which is about insure tech, aggregators. What do you see? There is always an element of collaborate versus a competition because of bargaining power, because of the customer experience that some of the insurtech companies are able to give, although all insurers are also very well equipped when it comes to technology. Sooner or later, everybody would be ahead or behind in terms of technology. Whoever has the best tech, they will be able to deal better with the customers. So in a steady state, what do you think it is going to turn out to, of what kind of bargaining power between the insurtech aggregators and the insurers?
See, I won't say it's a bargaining power, right, or something of that sort, or take it as a competition. Okay, We all need to complement each other. Okay, right, and at the end of the day, the insurance product is commoditized, right? So it's the experience, as we were talking about the other piece earlier. The entire experience. That is where it will create that differentiation, because with use and file now, if let's say today I come up with some product, somebody else can just tomorrow go ahead and launch it and maybe perhaps do it better.
Yeah.
Right. So it has become highly commoditized market and product, from that standpoint. Okay. Now, when you come to compare it with, the insurtechs, and you talk about, they perhaps would have a better digital spray and all, we take it very simple that, at our end, if we can scale up things from a technology standpoint, then only we'll, get our hands into it, right? We don't want to get into things, for a hobby, right? Because as you rightly mentioned, for us, the scale that we operate today, when we talk about, 14 odd crore customers today that we have that need to serve, right? Any small change I do, obviously, it can have a positive, negative impact at a very large scale, right? So we need to obviously be a little more cautious than perhaps a small player, right? Because the stakes are much higher, right? Having said that, we as a company always believe that, it is the customer to whom you are also investing in the technology, because at the end of the day, it is that customer who's paying you for that technology, right? Right. So don't do an implementation of technology just for the sake of, for example, somebody in the boardroom has said, the XYZ company is doing something on GenAI, why aren't you doing it? Right. So don't get into that for a hobby. If you can scale it up, if it makes sense for the end customer, then go ahead and copy paste it, right? And when you copy paste it, do it better, right? While yes, we do look at avenues, and there are many examples where we have ensured that we become the pioneer in the industry to launch something, right? But there have been many other examples where we do copy, right? And copy it shamelessly, right? And do it better. As far as there is no copyright issue there, right? Right. So I would say it's a collaborative world, right? As an industry, we need to work together, because if you really look at insurance for all, by 2047, if we get stuck into these small things, right, we won't be able to achieve that, right? This insurance for all by 2047, if we have to achieve, we all need to come together, right? And everyone will have their role to play, and it's a big pie. Everyone can have their share. It depends upon your risk appetite and that you want to take up. You can grow that way.
So I think that's very interesting. It's a very big pie of business. If everyone wants a more inclusion in the insurance sector, everybody will have to work together. It's not very, very difficult to copy. At the same time, it will become very difficult to remain very differentiated from a product standpoint. It will not be very difficult for others to imitate. So I think the beauty will come out in the great execution, and every great execution would need a good cohesive relationship between the aggregators. So that's very interesting. Kamlesh, your thoughts on this point about how aggregation and insurtech can work together with the insurers. Your take.
If I were to talk about two parts, as one part which I think Ankit talked about, and I probably want to give it into a small example, and then probably we'll talk about the aggregator piece itself. Take an example of Netflix, and it is so today deeply penetrated. OTT is a favorite medium for people, in terms of to be with themselves. Okay, why is that happening? Okay, and if we were to look at that particular model and we were to mimic insurance, while I completely agree that it's a pull product and it requires a huge amount of hyper personalization, like airlines, what we actually end up doing it. But when I look at Netflix or any OTT platform, and I've just probably want to use this as a case study, is if you look at the way they're using personalization, they're using data to kind of give a customer experience to make them happy and engaged to their particular platform. Netflix have 200 million plus customers on their platform. They are catering to 30 plus countries and much higher number of languages than those countries. Okay, what they're able to do right, first and foremost, they're able to create a very strong content across genres. Okay, the second part is they're actually able to leverage data and convert that into experience by identifying what time of the day the person picks it up, which browser he kinds of navigates it through, what is the watching time, what he ends up doing it, which device he's actually end up logging in that particular bit, which day of the week which he's actually doing it. Is it a senior person doing the account, checking the account, or is his kid watching that particular bit? And more importantly, basis this entire triage which we talk about, he's able to give recommendations at the end of it basis the liking or basis the watch history of that individual. If you look at insurance, is no different. The content here is nothing but talking about a very, very simple product, or basis is understanding, which companies called it as a need analysis, is what one is looking for. The second part is the process has to be very, very integrated. And more importantly, you need to understand him rather than asking him. Earlier was the day where you used to ask a lot of information. Half of it was not even relevant. Something which you actually end up personalizing to that gentleman or to that lady, pick up that information, consume that information, use it from a decision-making point of view. And not only at that stage, because you're doing a risk assessment, you're actually doing it from a green channel processing at the claim stage. So it's not that I'm taking this information to make your life easy now. I'm doing it because I want to make sure that your next generation life insurance, or maybe you, when you require health insurance for you at the time of dire need. Okay. And then the last part is purely at the servicing stage or maybe at a human stage. If I don't understand something, don't give me that AI or a hyper personalization kind of, panacea. You actually get a human there on the call, help me resolve that particular bit.
Yeah.
The reason of giving this example, Vineet, and then is it's because at that stage, in a Netflix kind of a scenario, I'm a consumer. I need a content which is entertaining. Where digital plays a very, very important role. In a life insurance scenario, yes, digital will make your life easy. A human touch will make your problems in a more trustworthy manner and will actually kind of create more affinity towards a brand, which thereby drives loyalty at a particular stage. The whole ecosystem requires a lot amount of collaboration. You have insurtechs coming in the play. You have certain amount of devices which are coming in, which are kind of going to give you certain amount of information about health, well-being, about that particular individual. You have certain amount of stakeholders wanting to participate and giving that particular bit. So insurance today, the way it is evolving, thanks to technology, thanks to certain amount of development, it is actually moving towards more simplified manner and more collaborative bit, so that you understand the consumer better, not to spring surprises. And that's where the role of these collaborative stakeholders play a very, very important role.
I think very insightful, Kamlesh. Thanks for your input. And I would like to tell my audience that keep putting your questions in the question box that is there. You can find that on the bottom right. And there is a poll which has been posted by Shivani. Please participate in this poll. Any questions, we would be able to take that towards the end of the session. Coming back to it, we have the next section where we are going to talk about the inclusion. Now we are going to talk about the tier 3 town, tier 4 town, maybe the gig workers, and what kind of product innovation should be happening in those areas. What can we expect in the coming 5 years from an insurance umbrella? And maybe Kamlesh, I'll again come back to you. The first question is, what do you see as innovation for micro insurance products? What are we going to see significantly changing in the next couple of years from a product innovation standpoint, as well as insurance penetration, as India is a populous country? And I'd like to understand what kind of innovation are we seeing in the distribution channel, maybe related to technology or maybe related to the core distribution channel framework. Let's talk about that. The micro insurance products for some buying. Yeah,
You would want me to talk about that?
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you. Vineet, the bigger challenge, which I were to look at it, and I'm sure it's more compounded for a health or a GI organization. While life insurance, still have a bigger ticket size to tackle, unlike the other, insurance products. The biggest challenge is insurance is still sold in a traditional format. While we talked about lot amount of work which is being done using machine learning, AI, bot, it is actually creating efficiency and process improvement. The bigger challenge still remains is people need to be nudged. They need an unfortunate event in their life for them to be more receptive towards the insurance purchase. And very often it's the agent knocking the door of the consumer to say that, hey, you need the insurance, to safeguard your family from any financial hazard, if were to come to it. So this actually makes the distribution model more complex.
But Kamlesh, just giving one more line of thought here. In life insurance, there are many schemes that the governments are running at the state level. Do you see some micro insurance product in the on top of those state governed insurance policies? Do you see that happening?
I think the biggest and the positive change which is going to happen is the Bima Trinity, which the regulator is actually launched, the Bima Vistar and the Bima Vahak. Okay, it is nothing but it is simplifying insurance. It is bundling insurance from a comprehensiveness point of view. It is talking about, if I'm not wrong, a 1,500 rupees cover, and it's all encompassed, be it a life, be it a health, be it a property, be it an accident insurance, which is being bundled and offered in that particular single platform. And the policy construct is kind of more and more simple. Bima Vistar is nothing but taking the agenda of this product which I talked about to the Gram Panchayat level. Okay, and there are lot amount of empowerment through agent or intermediary enhancements. So I would rather say, Vineet, that's one big transformation one is expecting. Obviously, the time will only tell the acceptance and the ability to position and drive coverage in those particular markets. But if I were to look at a product construct, a distribution model in terms of capability and ability, there's a huge opportunity which is there. And before insurance company come out with any other different offerings, which could be, RSBY or a PMJJBY, I think this is the model which insurance companies are going to be leveraging in order to drive, penetration, so to speak.
Ankit,
So Vineet, I would like to
yes.
add something here.
Yeah.
What Kamlesh said, this is like what you're talking about is a democratization of insurance. You are catering to the unserved and underdeserved market. Basically, if you're talking about unserved and underdeserved market, you will have to develop the micro insurance product, which you rightly said, and they can be only done when we are making the plans more affordable and more accessible. For that, you may have to tie up with Bima Vahaks, which Kamlesh said. We will have to tie up with more rural banks. We will have to tie up with Gram Panchayat level. And that way, we can actually make the specifically tailored product for low income segment, ensuring affordability and accessibility. Now, additionally, we have to promote the financial literacy programs. If you talk about IRDA's report 2 years back, which the study which they did from the Niti Aayog in 2020-21, it was clearly demarked that 54 to 60% of the people who are not buying insurance is because of the lack of awareness. So we will have to run from literacy programs in these segments and regions. So essentially raise the awareness about the importance of insurance, helping individuals to understand their options and benefits of being insured.
Makes sense. Can't conclude this question without taking a opinion from Ankit, because I think this is most relevant for a general insurance. Ankit, give us a sense of your understanding on this topic. Also, talk about a parallel sub-segment of gig workers, the people working for Swiggy, Zomato. There are different products you can sell to them. Of course, after sharing your view about the inclusion of the most rural consumer in India, how do you see this landscape?
See, I completely agree with what Arun mentioned, and Kamlesh also mentioned about having those micro products and then tying up with Bima Vahak and all those stuff, right? But at the end of the day, when you talk about these small villages, talukas, right? Somewhere we have to get the basic psyche right, that this insurance product that you're going to purchase, right? You need to look at more from that you're also giving back to the society.
Yeah.
Right? It is not only about, because today if you look at, there are 100 people who are buying, a GI product, right? At max, what, 8% is what going to claim,
Yeah.
right? What about those 92, percent, right? Now, typically, because that 92% don't claim, the general thing in the market is that, hey, do we really need it? For example, a health insurance. I'm a healthy person, right? Why should I, buy a health insurance, right? Now, yes, you are a healthy person today, but can you give a guarantee that you will be healthy for the next 40 years, 50 years from now?
Yeah.
How long will you live? Can you guarantee that? Right? No one can do that, right? Somewhere that mindset has to come in. It's not about an investment where you kind of, in a GI where you get some returns.
Yeah.
Right? It is actually that you are giving it back to the society in case you don't need it. That pool of money is going to get utilized for somebody else who is in deep need. Right? And in fact, we recently started one social media campaign called Forward Karo Care around the same concept, that today I'm healthy. I paid my premium. I don't need, the insurance claim, but my pool of premium is actually helping somebody else. So I'm forwarding that care to somebody else, right? So somewhere that concept needs to go in, right? And when you talk about these small villages or talukas, from a technology standpoint, I must tell you that they are much more advanced. Okay, and just to give you an example, we have this crop insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and our customers are farmers. Now, if I were to tell you that for a farmer to register a claim, I'll not get any human. It's only the AI bots who will take care of it. On the face of it, somebody will say that, are you crazy? You are saying that, a farmer will interact with the bot and do it, right? But we took up that challenge. And today, around 92% of our agri claims gets registered through the AI bots, a combination of chatbot and the conversational AI bots as well.
That's very impressive.
Right? It's only 8% which goes to the human where, yes, the machine is failing, right? But these guys are, experiencing technology. We have a Farmitra app, right? More than 3 lakh active users. Right. So from a technology standpoint, these guys are equipped. It's just that get them what they really want. They don't want any fancy stuff. Make it simple. For them, talk in their language. And I see is as a 3V technology, strategy, where I say the first V is the voice. Okay. The voice has 2 components. One is the voice of your customer. Do it for your customer. Listen to the customer and then go ahead and do something about it. The second is on the technology piece. I believe the conversational AI voice will grow multifold in the years to come. Right? The second V is videos. Videos is the best medium today, to communicate.
Yeah.
And all these Instagram reels or, your shorts and all, they are the best way. In 10 seconds, 15 seconds, you convey, right? And they are going to increase. And if you really look at today's population, right, India is on the cusp of having the largest young population, so to say.
Yeah.
Who will be becoming our customers tomorrow. And then young lads, they are all over these videos. So if an organization does not have a strategy around that video, they're going to be losing out in the near future.
And also the absorption of the content over the videos is
Absolutely.
Considered much higher. The retention and
seeing is believing, right? They always say, right? You see, you remember it, right? The third V, to complete that entire 3V is from a Bharat standpoint, vernacular. Talk in their local language. And where the technology, the Gen AI, for example, can play a big role. Really language agnostic. You can convert languages on the fly, right? And make sure that the end person understands things in their local language, right? So if you have these 3 V's in place, I guess the future is kind of good.
Yeah. That's very insightful, Ankit. Thanks for sharing your input. I think we can conclude on that topic. I had the next section where I want to talk specifically about what new trends are coming in the insurance sector. But before that, I'm going to jump into a few questions which the audience has put in. So first one is coming from Gautam. Gautam asked that if you take snippet from what Ankit said about how we are building exceptional customer experience using Gen AI, can this also be extended to control the churn, especially on the agency channel? I think something that we talked about, the customer lifetime value. Arun had given an insight that would certainly be lower in agency channel. Ankit, your thoughts, can we use the same channel, same technology to somehow curb the churn on the agency channel and bring it to a level of other channels? Do you see that happening?
See, I would say, why do you really need Gen AI to do that? Mm-hmm. You should know at the end of the day, if you have a customer and the customer is not sticking with you, you should know it right there.
So I think that's what Gautam is hinting. Can we build exceptionally good algorithms to predict a possible churn for a customer which was sourced from a channel?
You can do that, but I frankly am not a big fan of that, of all those predictions, because still that Gen AI is based on certain data that you already have. Yes, it kind of increases your efficiency, or not even here. You actually don't need Gen AI. You can simply put some machine learning algorithms and kind of predict all of that, right? But I'm not a great fan of that, right? To be honest, I believe more in going to the ground, getting the hands dirty, right, and getting the pulse at the ground, and then taking those actions, rather than just in a AC room, looking at certain data points which the machine has thrown up to you. So I'm not a great fan of that. I believe in more going at the ground level and figuring it out.
And I think also the churn and all these things are part of the business and the sales team, their efficiencies. So technology can help us understand things better, but some things better done by the people themselves. And okay, makes sense, makes sense. So I'll move to the next question asked by Avinash. Avinash is asking, is it worth creating special technological platforms for B2B customers? I'll put this question to Arun Stable because Arun, you represent health insurance here, which is very prevalent in corporates. So do you see a different set of technologies only for the B2B customers?
So I would take it from the technology and a solution perspective, right? Technology may not be different. The same technologies can be used, but can we have different kind of solutions? Yes, of course. An insurer can create platforms or portal for the B2B clients where they can go, they can upload their data for which they want to insure, what kind of insurance they want. They can have a modular nature of the benefits. They can add, delete, and basis that, because there are rack rates for every kind of risk. So that rack rate can be applied, and if there are other discounting factors which needs to be pushed in, they can be pushed in. And an indicative quote can be given, or an indicative proposal can be generated, which can form the first draft. Okay, so yes, at a ManipalCigna, we have created such kind of portal for our broker partners. There they can upload the data and they can drive the first code. So yes, it is possible, and it is happening in the industry as well.
Okay, makes sense. We have taken the two questions from the customers. I think I'm going to move back to the fourth topic that I wanted to cover. We wanted to talk about what are the new trends or new regulatory changes that we can anticipate in the industry, and this is open to all panelists here. So maybe Kamlesh, your insights. We've been hearing about regulatory sandbox. We've been talking about or hearing about Bima Sugam, and you also yourself talked about a few initiatives. What do you see we can expect in the next 1 or 2 years, which could be concerning, which could be comforting in both categories? Open to you.
Yeah. So we need the first step from a design point of view. I think regulator, both in terms of RBI, in terms of IRDA, and when you look at actually global trends also, okay, sandbox is a very nice, or a perfect strategy for industry to innovate and probably to do a more efficient risk management and a scalable set of operations. Okay, the reason of using these words is because this is where you test small and then you scale it up. You don't spring up surprises in terms of from a risk management product point of view, and then kind of burden the customer or probably to the insurer on that particular bit. So in a way, I would rather say from an IRDA standpoint of view, I think it's the most welcome and a heartwarming view, which they have taken. And a lot amount of insurance companies, especially on the life side, I can talk about it. Lot amount of product innovations we have actually seen. InsurTech, in terms of solving the problem from an industry point of view, is actually kind of come through. Okay, we see a good amount of collaboration, both on the product space as well as onto the process space, which is being done, be it in terms of fintech players or be it in terms of insurtech players, in terms of integrating with the intermediaries, in terms of expanding your distribution network, so to speak. So I would rather say that the way this is going to span out, as in more and more opportunities come through, more and more innovation goes through within the insurance landscape, which the regulator has chalked out. I'll not be surprised to see good amount of solutions for the end consumer on the product or a process point of view.
I think that can be correlated to the third section where we talked about the inclusion and the new products to cater specific profiles. I think with the regulatory sandbox coming in, that introduction of the products will be faster, while it will take some time for customers to reap the benefits. Your take, Arun, on the new regulatory framework or new policies, maybe something that can directly benefit the customer. Maybe let's talk about Bima Sugam for some time. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so I believe the IADA sandbox is actually designed to foster, innovations and growth in the insurance sector.
Yeah.
Now, what they are trying to do is they're trying to actively align the digital revolution, digital transformation, digital India, to make insurance product more accessible nationwide. Now the initiatives like Abha, the initiative from like Bima Sugam and Bega Vistar, they are actually leveraging the technology to the extent insurance and automate processes across stakeholders. What is happening in the health exchange is trying to bring down the fraud, is trying to bring down the seamlessness of a portability of the health insurance policies. Now this will help all the stakeholders, be it insurer, be it policyholders, be it intermediaries, be it the regulator as well. So definitely, this is what is about the Abha and the Bima Sugam. Now let's talk about the Bima Vahak and Bima Vistar as well, or in fact Bima Sugam, the Trinity, which regulator is pushing basically. So one will help to gather information, to buy policy, to compare the policy. Okay, the other will help in terms of expanding the insurance base, and the third one will help to penetrate the insurance market. So all three put together will help regulator to realize the dream of insurance for all by 2047. In fact, if you see, the regulator released a new health insurance draft in May 2024. Now this draft is actually pushing that the cashless authorization should happen within 1 hour of receiving a request. All these things will help the consumer, the policyholders, and will also put insurer mandatorily to put technological tools to enable these service standards.
Yeah, I think that's very insightful that all of these things, while they are making the whole insurance space more efficient, I think that will also push everyone to adopt technology. And with Sandbox coming in, that testing will be faster. So we are certainly looking for a very bright future where a lot of innovation will be coming in this industry, and the benefits will of course reach to all the customers. Ankit, I think we have 2 minutes left. Some view from your end on the new changes. What can we expect? Maybe you can take a cut towards how do we prevent frauds? How do we ensure that the right communication in the selling? Although we touched upon that, what all can we expect in the next couple of years? Your view on that.
See, I don't have a crystal ball to predict what the IRD is going to think about in the next 2 years, right? But the way the entire piece has been taken up by the regulator right now, and the way of the regulator has gone by and made a lot of regulations, a lot of master circulars that we are seeing. In fact, all the insurers today are really busy in ensuring that that entire checklist is in place and all the tick box are done, right? But having said that, I guess the regulator today, if you really look at, is actually doing the right thing when you really talk about the customer, the policyholder, right? Because all the changes, all the regulations that we are seeing right now are in the interest of the policyholder, which is the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Right. Perhaps what we should look at, as a wish thing, for the future is the ecosystem players should become part of it.
Yeah.
Right. So, for example, we talk about health insurance hospitals. Right. We talk about motor insurance, the various garages, workshop. Now these two are not really regulated right now in any form or fashion.
True.
Right. But if we really look through, right, for a health insurance to really succeed, the hospital collaboration, that ecosystem needs to play the right role. Similarly, the workshops for a motor insurance. Right. So something around that and getting that ecosystem play going from a regulation standpoint, I guess would be crucial.
I think that's very insightful that we should not only talk about the insurer and the insured, but we should cover the entire ecosystem in holistic manner so that we are able to solve the problem. Everyone, here in this ecosystem is trying to get some problems or questions answered. That's very insightful. I think many questions are coming up to me, but I'll have to stop myself because we have reached our timeline of an hour, and I know it's a month end for every one of us. So I have to pause this very interesting conversation, but I look forward to having many more such interesting conversations with all of you. I'll request Shivani to come over, join the stage. She disappeared after 5 minutes. He's here now.
Yeah, because I know there's a hard stop for multiple people, but thank you so much for this very insightful discussion. Please look out for little snippets of this discussion on social media very soon. Thank you so much, Kamlesh, Ankit, Arun, and Vineet, for taking us through this topic this evening. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.